who does the realtor work for? It's not always clear. I'm going to talk about that and then get into the numbers for week ending October 5th, 2022. So why do I bring up who does the realtor work for? Well, and I'm a realtor. I've got to say that for anybody new joining this channel. I'm a realtor, and I can tell you from our experiences in dealing with other realtor, you would think that everybody knows the realtor works for their client. We have a fiduciary responsibility to work in the best interests of our client, but not every realtor does that. And too many times realtors are, even though we're self-employed and still should be working in the best interests of our client, too many realtors are working in their own best interest, whatever benefits them, not so much in favor of what's best for their client. We recently were negotiating on a property on our listing. We're negotiating, we received an offer. I called the agent to discuss a few points in the offer, and we're going back and forth a few times. Now, talking to my clients, I've got my parameters. I know what my seller client is willing to do, not to do. We've already had this discussion. And I'm assuming that everything we're talking about with this other agent, he's doing that in conjunction with his buyer client. We agreed on a bunch of stuff. We made the changes on the offer, so we sent back the counter offer expecting for it to be accepted. But the agent comes back to me and says, no, my buyer is not interested in that, or no, this is not going to work. And I go, but wait a minute, we've spent all this time, half a day going back and forth, you and I. Have you not been talking to your client about this? Like, are you just deciding these things on your own, like you're the buyer? And that's what was happening. As a realtor, it's not about buying and selling. It's about really consulting. This is how I see it. Our job, when a client comes to us and tells us this is what they're looking to do, whether they're looking to sell, whether they're looking to buy, they're looking for our experience, our expertise, our professionalism. They're looking for our knowledge to explain to them and to guide them how best to hit their goals, whether it's buying or selling. And to protect them, because there are legal documents that get signed. How do we accomplish buying this or selling this? Please help me do this properly, as efficient and as right as possible, the best way to buy and sell. That's the realtor's job. That's why we get hired. And even though we're all self-employed, and in the end, yeah, we're working for ourselves, but the best way to benefit our own needs is really to work in the best interest of our client. You do that as a realtor, you got business for life. You don't, you're not going to get repeat business. You're going to hurt yourself, and it's one of the reasons why we have such a bad name for realtors out there. So work in the best interest of your client and consult. Clients could be looking to make mistakes. Your experience is, no, that's wrong. Explain and educate them why. People are smart. They'll make the right choices once they have all the information. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way, I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule is organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. So there's lots of people prepared to tell you what's going to happen in the market next month, next year, and they seem pretty confident about it, but I'm having a hard enough time just telling you what the trends are right now. And when it comes to Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, the home pricing trends are different in each of these cities. Let's get right into it. Let me show you. I have Vaughan here, detached properties only, broken down for a whole year by week. 23 detached properties were sold for week ending October 5th. 6 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price jumped way up from the previous week. Average sold price is now at $1,622,000. How does that compare to last year? Well, $1,622,000 is 7% lower than what it was a year ago. Now, when we look at right now, the last few weeks, prices have fluctuated between 1.6 and high 1.4. But last year at this time, we were heading up, and this 1 week, prices came way down. So before that, we were 19, 15, 16%, 27% lower than last year. This 1 week, we're 7% lower than last year's price. Median price is $1,425,000, which is 12% lower than last year's median price. But let's look at the dotted line for a minute here. The dotted line, that's the 4-week moving average. I use that to try to eliminate the peaks and valleys on the individual weekly prices. Well, for Vaughan, for detached properties, if we look at the 3-month trend, we could see both average sold price and median price basically trending down. Well, actually, if we look at this 4-week period here, so mostly the month of August, it's been pretty steady. But ending of August, early first week of September, something happened and boom, prices came like just right off a cliff basically, and then have stayed kind of steady after that. So this is what's happening in Vaughan. As far as sales go, well, we sold 23 this year. A year ago, we sold exactly double. 46 detached properties were sold in the same week. You can see the blue, that's last year's, much higher than the orange, this year's sales figure. Year to date, we're 42% fewer sales this year than what we were selling last year at this time. And of the 23 that sold, 26% sold at list price or more. A year ago at this time, 70% were selling at list price. Listings, we have 14% fewer listings this year, year to date versus last year. Months of inventory went up a little bit, sitting at 2.8 months of inventory. 24 is the average days on market. So that's Vaughan. Let's look at Richmond Hill. 16 detached properties were sold. 3 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price took a beating this week and has come way down from the previous week. $1,611,000 is the new average sold price for Richmond Hill for detached properties, which is 18% lower than last year's average sold price. So average sold price is 18% lower. Median price is 14% lower than what it was a year ago. But if we look at the 4-week moving average, yes, it's sloping down over the 3 months period, but slightly sloping down. Definitely not like it was in Vaughan where it was coming down a bit more aggressive. So this is slightly sloping down. That's Richmond Hill. 16 detached properties sold this year. Last year, 33 detached properties were sold in the same week. Year to date, we have 41% fewer sales this year versus last year. Look at this here, the percentage of properties selling at list price or more. For 4 weeks now, it's been climbing. And last week, 50%, half of those, so 8 sold at list price or more. Listings, 24% fewer listings this year versus last year. We're way off the pace. You could see the blue line much higher than the orange line. And months of inventory is up a little bit, sitting at 2.7, and 14 is the average days on market. Let's look at Markham. Now Markham, a few months ago, was really taking a beating. Not much was going on, but these days Markham seems to be making a comeback. 26 detached properties were sold. The last time we did more than that in 1 week was August 10th. And then before that, we've got to go all the way back to July 15th. So 26 has been, it's a pretty strong week for Markham these days. 26 detached properties were sold. 5 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price came down slightly from the previous week, now sitting at $1,726,000, which is 2% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price of $1,601,000 is 8% lower than last year's median price. And if we look at the 4-week moving average here, kind of looks like prices are either steady or maybe even slightly going up over the course of 3 months. I know it's hard to believe in the detached market these days, but so Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham, different pricing patterns, different trends have been emerging. Looking at year-to-date sales, here's where Markham's really taking a beating. 49% fewer sales this year versus last year. But almost half, 46% of the 26 that sold at list price or more. Listings, 27% fewer listings this year versus last year. That's year to date. Months of inventory came way down, and that's because of the increase in sales. Months of inventory sitting at 1.6, and 17 is the average days on market. Here's condos for all of York region. Condos is a different world, folks. 24 condos were sold. Average sold price is $675,000, down by just a couple of thousand from the previous week. $675,000 is 3% higher than last year's average sold price. Condos is one of the few market segments, maybe the only market segment actually, where we could be saying average sold price is higher than what it was a year ago. So 3% higher, median price is 4% higher, and over the last 3 months, the 4-week moving average kind of shows prices trending upwards when it comes to condos. 24 were sold last year at this time, 73 were sold. Big difference between the orange line and the blue line. We have 33% fewer sales this year in condos versus a year ago, and that's year to date. Listings pretty much on par. We actually have 4% more listings this year to date versus last year. Months of inventory sitting at 4.4, very much sitting in a balanced market, and 25 is the average days on market. Here's a quick summary of what's happening with months of inventory. Look, it feels very much like a balanced market when you're out there, when you're a seller, you're a buyer. That's the feel that's out there. That's the way a lot of people are negotiating. But there are individual situations that differ from that you really need good guidance. Really work with somebody that has your best interest at heart. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.